Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Thursday, August 6, 2020. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. We've got a lot to talk about today. And as usual, we're going to do news until I run out of news. Then we'll open the phone lines for your comments, questions, opinions, and observations. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials, keeping us out of trouble. And he'll be answering the phone a little bit later in the program. So let's get right on into it. Today, of course, is the 75th anniversary of the world's first atomic attack against the civilians of another country. And that, of course, is Hiroshima. And over the weekend will be the anniversary of the attack on Nagasaki. And they had a memorial service at Hiroshima led by Prime Minister Shinzo Abe amid renewed calls for a ban on nuclear weapons, which I think could be a really, really good thing, because the problem with the nuclear weapon is sooner or later they get used. I mean, at one point, they were seriously thinking about using them during the Korean War. You want to think about that one here. General MacArthur was all hot and bothered. Yes, we've got them. Let's go ahead and use them here. Sergei Lavrov, Russia's foreign minister, is out there saying the message going out on the 75th anniversary of the atomic bombing is that we need to rule out the possibility of ever having another nuclear war. John Pilger is out there saying another Hiroshima is coming unless we stop it now. These are voices of reason, and we should be listening to them. Unfortunately, history has shown that the voices calling for bigger and more powerful weapons tend to win out. And I think there will be more nuclear war. Anyway, there's an article coming on out here from Global Research up in Canada. Were the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki a war crime and a crime against humanity? Now, we've all been told that the reason that Truman went ahead and authorized the use of the nuclear weapon was he figured there'd be less deaths than if they did an outright invasion of the home islands of Japan. Well, we know that that is not entirely accurate. Truman wanted to, first of all, demonstrate that we had such a bomb and that we had the political will to use it. The fact is, Japan was already trying to surrender at the point Hiroshima got nuked. When Russia basically came on in and said, we're declaring war on Japan, Japan said, all right, that's it. We're done. We can't win against everybody ganged up on us like that. So according to Gertrude Elizabeth Anscombe, who's a British analytic philosopher, Truman was possibly a murderer because he killed a bunch of innocent civilians, for a military objective, and that basically counts as a war crime. And like I said, the Japanese were trying to surrender. Now, the big news that came out today, we were being teased since yesterday that the New York Attorney General was going to come out with a big announcement today. A lot of people thought it had to do with Donald Trump and his past taxes, because they're trying to get those. But it came out as a big surprise. Apparently, the New York Attorney General is seeking to dissolve the National Rifle Association. They filed a lawsuit against the leaders. Apparently, they've been looting millions of dollars of donations for personal trips, private jets, expensive meals, including Wayne LaPierre himself. And so they're basically out there suing to dissolve the NRA and saying that these four executives shouldn't be permitted to ever again serve on the board of a New York charity. So this is a major, major blow to the NRA. It's a major, major blow to gun rights. And it's a major blow to Trump, because the NRA was a supporter of Donald Trump. And the timing is therefore, I think, not a matter of coincidence here. But if Wayne LaPierre really did all this stuff, then, the blame rests with him. And I guess having that much money floating around, you get tempted to start living yourself an exalted lifestyle. But apparently they've got a very, very strong case, and they're moving forward with it. Getting on back to Beirut, I want to express a certain caution here. I'm being sent videos of the explosion in Beirut, which purport to show missiles and or bombs coming on in. Now, if all of these videos turn out to be accurate and true, then Beirut was subjected to a major attack by multiple sources, because every video is slightly different in terms of what it shows. But I think somebody's trying to push this idea that this was a deliberate attack as opposed to a real stupid industrial accident. And we need to be careful. We see this all the time. There was that phony video supposedly of a cruise missile striking the Pentagon on 9/11. It was so poorly made that the image of the cruise missile was swimming against the background, and they had to blur it really bad to try and make it look convincing. Which, in this day and age of autofocus cameras and everything, if you're being shown something that's soft and fuzzy and blurred, it's to hide the fact that it's a fake. So anyway, Lebanon has declared a 2-week state of emergency in Beirut, trying to clean up that huge mess. The Beirut blast has set Lebanon years back. They have a crucial need for aid, which Iran is already sending in. Good for Iran. And they're basically still saying more than 100 people have been killed, 4,000 wounded, 300,000 left homeless. There was a BBC video that we put up a little while ago showing the damage. I mean, we're talking kilometers away from ground zero, and just entire windows shattered, storefronts destroyed. It's a mess. And, you can sort of tell that before the blast happened, Beirut was kind of a pretty city. It's a shame. It really is. Anyway, after the blast, Lebanon has less than a month's grain reserves, but they do have enough flour to avoid a crisis. But things are going to be a little bit tense and tight there. Now, as you know, the McCloskeys had this big issue going on, and so does the husband of this district attorney, about pointing guns at Black Lives Matter protesters who are coming up onto their private property. And the Black Lives Matter say, well, we're peaceful, we're harmless. Really? Well, that is no longer operant, because up in Portland, apparently a woman was confronted at her home. And video footage from the scene showed a group of about a dozen, many clad all in black, repeatedly shouting expletives at the woman while shining lasers into her eyes. Now, if that's an assault for a police officer, it's an assault for an ordinary person as well. The group was mad that the woman was wearing what appeared to be a swastika armband. Now, nobody had a photo of it, so we could see what they were really upset about. But apparently one man was shouting, "Take it off, you Nazi." And the woman said she would not, while shouting back. There we go. Got caught on the cable. And then another person shouted, "Go back inside your house before you get expletive up," one of the crowd told her. Another man tried shoving the woman inside her house after opening the door. When she refused, he then grabbed her arm and tried to rip the armband off. It's not clear how the incident ended. Well, that's not peaceful. When you're ripping things off of each other, that's not peaceful. This has gotten completely out of hand here. And the whole idea of having a Second Amendment is that you have the means to deter violence against your person and property. Now, the Seattle police chief has certainly changed her tune, saying that it's time for the city council to stand up for what is right after Black Lives Matter stormed her neighborhood. Over in Louisville, which is just a little bit over that way, Black Lives Matter activists demand protection money from local businesses as the black militia marches in the street. So they've turned into the mafia there. Give us money or we're going to smash up your place and say you're racists. Black Power activists in Louisville, Kentucky are holding heavily armed marches in the streets, threatening to burn the city down and using mafia tactics to demand extortion payments from local businesses in the name of advancing their racial interests. Late last month, an all-black militia calling themselves the Not Blanking Around Coalition held an armed march in Louisville and threatened to burn the city to the ground. Does that sound like peaceful protest to you? It doesn't to me. Sounds like rioting and insurrection. By the way, there's another riot up in Portland. The rioters are trying to break into a police station and burn it down here. Now, do Black Americans really support defunding the police? Well, apparently, according to the latest polls, over 80% of the Black population want cops to stay and keep patrolling their communities. Now, despite the Black Lives Matter protests raging around the country and moves to defund police departments or cut back their budgets, a new poll suggests Black citizens don't support the efforts to remove police from the streets. The Gallup poll released yesterday was conducted throughout July and involved over 36,000 adults across the U.S. 81% of the Black respondents said they want police to spend the same amount of time in their neighborhoods as they already do, or even have more of a presence. The results are similar across races, with 88% of white Americans, 83% of Hispanic Americans, and 72% of Asian Americans all saying the same thing. We want the police out there to keep the crime under control. And everywhere they've already cut back on the police, crime is going through the roof. Ooh, imagine our shock. Nobody saw that coming, right? Anyway, another poll shows that 84% of Americans blame the media for political divisions in the country, that it's the media that's fanning up all this corrosive political division. The Knight Foundation Gallup poll revealed that 86% of respondents say they see a great deal or a fair amount of political bias in the media. That compares to 62% who felt the same way back in 2007. As expected, given the media's left-wing prejudice, Democrats are less concerned than Republicans about media bias, with only 22% having an unfavorable view of the press compared to 75% of the Republicans. Americans blame the media for political divisions, but they also see the potential for the media to heal those divides, reports the Knight Foundation. That will be the day. You know how media operates. If it bleeds, it leads. If it thinks, it stinks. Oh, anyway. All right, let's talk about COVID-19. Story coming on out of stationgossip.com. COVID-19 patients with and without symptoms are equally contagious. Asymptomatic people have just as much virus in their noses, mouths, and lungs as those who cough and run fevers, according to the latest study. Now, this is one, Dustin's going to love this one here. This is a story that's coming out of greenmedinfo.com. The World Health Organization's June 5th, 2020 guidance on face mask use says there's no direct evidence that universal masking of healthy people is an effective intervention against respiratory illnesses. While masks do not prevent the spread of viral infections, the WHO still makes a case for universal mask wearing, citing benefits such as reduced stigmatization of people caring for COVID-19 patients in non-clinical settings, making people feel like they're doing something to help, serving as a reminder to be compliant with other measures and economic benefits for people who can sew homemade masks. So they're just saying it right there. They don't really do anything, but it makes you feel good to wear the mask, and you're helping stimulate the economy by buying and using up the masks. Now, despite the fact that cloth masks are far less effective for blocking potentially infectious respiratory droplets, the World Health Organization recommends cloth masks should be worn by infected persons in community settings. A policy review paper published in the CDC's journal Emerging Infectious Diseases found that masks did not protect rented lips. Masks did not protect against influenza in non-healthcare settings. So basically, the World Health Organization is out there saying, we're doing this to make it look like we're doing something. You know, you're not going to be stigmatized for not wearing a mask. By the way, we just put up this video about apparently some guy in Manhattan just went totally ballistic over a customer at a pizza parlor who didn't have a mask on and literally wrecked part of the store display. That's a little over the top there, people. It really, really is. Over in Great Britain, it's getting a little bit more intense. Apparently, the internal government guide meant to inform local councils and town authorities on strategies in dealing with coronavirus explored scenarios wherein demolition of contaminated homes would be allowed. In other words, Britain is giving town councils the power to bulldoze contaminated homes to contain the outbreak. Well, I don't know about you, but I think bulldozing a contaminated home just spreads the contamination that much further. You know, if you're really that concerned, you got to sterilize it. Go on in there, you know, spray it down. All right. Let's talk about our domestic politics here. Democrats don't seem to be campaigning all that much. Biden is going to skip the Democratic National Convention. In this article, are the Democrats planning to lose? And the answer is no, they're not planning to lose. They're planning on stealing it with the mail-in ballots. So why bother doing anything? They're not even trying to hide what's going on here. They're going to push this vote by mail and they're going to use it to steal the elections for Congress and the White House. The only thing that's going to stop them is if Republicans continue to register in record number, which they are doing. Right now, Republicans are out registering Democrats, and we simply vote in enough numbers to overwhelm the vote rigging, which is what happened in 2016. Hillary thought she had a lock on the presidency in 2016. And the American people got up and said, no, you won't either steal that White House. And they went out and they voted Trump in. Hillary beat up her campaign manager. Apparently over at CNN, the political analyst April Ryan is saying she can't wait to see armed forces eject Trump from the White House. Just getting insane out there. Now, Donald Trump is considering the White House as a venue for his convention speech. Nancy Pelosi is saying it won't happen. He can't do that. I don't think it's up to you, Nancy. I really don't think it's up to you. Now, I do know that there are laws saying that you cannot use government facilities for campaigning, but in this case, he is the incumbent president, and he's not campaigning. He's merely making a speech. So I think he's going to go ahead and do it, and there's not a thing you can do about it, Nancy, except throw another tantrum, which you're getting really good at, and we're all bored at your tantrums. We really are. We're tired of seeing you roll around on the ground and kick and scream, ready to dump a bucket of water on your head. Okay. I mentioned this before, but according to cuzblue.com, Republicans are outpacing Democrats in voter registration. They're gaining in key battleground states. So that is a good thing. All right, Trump is still out there calling for additional earlier debate with Biden. He wants one debate with Biden before any of the vote-by-mail ballots go on out. His concern is that right now the earliest debate is scheduled for September 29th, and saying that the ballots are going to be out and there are going to be thousands of people who are going to be voting for president without really having an opportunity to take the measure of either Trump or Biden. Now, Trump knows that the debate is going to favor him, and that's why he's out there trying to get it before the ballots go out. And of course, the Democrats are out there saying, oh, don't be ridiculous. You know, everybody's already decided who they're going to vote for, or we've decided for them. And we don't really need any more debates. All right. Apparently, this is international news now. The U.S. Navy seized an Iran-bound ship carrying pharmaceutical supplies off of China. And the Iranian state media has announced that the U.S. Navy warship has seized a transport near the Chinese port of Qingdao on Wednesday morning. The ship was reportedly en route to Iran, loaded with medical manufacturing components, specifically zeolite, which the Fars news agency says is needed for manufacturing oxygen concentrators for coronavirus-infected patients. Only one imported part is used for production of oxygen concentrators, which is zeolite, and we are forced to purchase it from France and import it to the country through several intermediaries. This is from Payman Bakhshandi Nejad, an Iran-based pharmaceutical company CEO. So, Pakistan has unveiled a new map of their country, which claims all of Kashmir. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan on Tuesday unveiled a new map of the country, which showed the entire disputed region of Jammu and Kashmir as Pakistan territory. The move came a day ahead of the first anniversary of India's unilateral decision to scrap Kashmir's special status, which guaranteed it partial autonomy. The new map marks the Himalayan region as Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, unlike its former status as disputed territory. In an address to the nation, Imran Khan said today is a historic day for Pakistan as the cabinet, opposition, and Kashmiri leadership endorsed the new map. Kashmir will become part of Pakistan, and this map is the first step toward it. I imagine India and China will have a few things to say about that. Taiwan is sending Marines to reinforce the South China Sea outpost, amid reports China plans to practice invading it. Taiwan's military has sent a Marine company to reinforce the garrison on a small outpost in the South China Sea, amid reports that there's going to be a simulated attack on the islets. Apparently, the Navy sent a company of around 200 Marines to reinforce the Coast Guard station on the Pratas Islands, which in Chinese are known as the Dongsha Islands. The Marines left for the Pratas about a week ago, will remain there on a short-term rather than long-term basis. We got to take a break for a commercial. We'll be right back.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Welcome back to our show here. A reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network is in a perpetual state of fundraising. In fact, if things don't start looking up, we're going to have to start renting out our control room technicians to Ed Buck. So if you'd like to save them from fate worse than death, please remember that the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash, to Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. All right, I want to get back here and talk a little bit more about COVID-19 because there's a couple of other issues floating around there. And according to this article that came out of yourdestinationnow.com, banning travel is 3 times better at controlling spread of coronavirus than reopening and making people quarantine. International travel bans can be much more effective than quarantining incoming travelers. Now, over in New York, they've got this absolutely draconian quarantine setup where if you violate it, it's like a $10,000 fine. I mean, who wants to go to New York with that? Yeah, you go to New York, you got to spend 2 weeks in a hotel room before you can even go out. I wouldn't go to New York right now, not with that restriction here. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned world leaders that the coronavirus pandemic has led to an unprecedented disruption in education across the world and impacting millions of children. It's a generational catastrophe. Okay. Talked about the $10,000 fine. Okay, one more time, hydroxychloroquine. This is coming out of Lou Rockwell. And he's talking about how hydroxychloroquine is known to be effective against COVID-19 given with azithromycin and zinc. And it's a proven, undeniable fact. It's been used for 65 years with an outstanding safety record, but it's under attack. One, of course, is that Trump recommended it. We can't go along with anything that Donald Trump recommends. And so Democrats and the prostitutes have allied with Big Pharma and demonized hydroxychloroquine, hoping to use the false claim that it can cause heart attacks to discredit Trump and reduce his chances of re-election. And the fact that some people might be dying of COVID-19 who could be helped by hydroxychloroquine, well, that's a small price to pay to secure the White House for the Democrats this year. And there's also what's called the emergency use authorization. Let's try that one more time. The emergency use authorization from the Food and Drug Administration, which can only be used on one medication at a time. And so they're sort of holding that authorization against the development of some high markup, high profit treatment coming from Big Pharma. They don't want to use that emergency use authorization on hydroxychloroquine. Boy, say that 3 times fast. Now, the government is working with Yale University trying to figure out a way to convince Americans to take the COVID-19 shots, which they're now saying will be an ongoing basis thing, that the vaccine is not going to be long-term, that you're going to have to get another vaccine shot like every year, like the flu shot, and every year you're going to have to pay for it. And that's the new moneymaker. That's the new cash cow for Big Pharma, COVID-19 every single year. So they're trying to figure out what's going to be the best way to get people to get into that treadmill. You know, it's good celebrity endorsement, threats, scare tactics, appeals to patriotism. It's not science, it's a marketing scheme. Anyway, President Donald Trump will sign an executive order requiring the U.S. government to buy essential drugs from American companies. The president is expected to sign the order during his trip in Ohio later today. The United States is dangerously overdependent on foreign nations for essential medicines. That's certainly true. The order will require the U.S. government to develop a list of essential medicines and buy them from U.S. companies instead of foreign countries like China. The World Health Organization already has a list of essential medicines, but the U.S. won't need some of those drugs because of where we are located. Okay, talking about the economy now. The U.S. now has about $154 trillion of unfunded mandates to pay, 7.5 times the gross domestic product. There's no way you can pay that back with purchasing power. If you decide to fund these, it has to be done over 75 years. You'd have to take 10% of the gross domestic product and set it aside. That's how deeply in debt this country is in. Because of politics, because of the unfunded mandates. They talk about the national debt being 20 trillion. It's way, way, way beyond that. Bankruptcies are almost up to 2009 levels. Bank credit availability continues to dry up. The Fed is increasingly the only game in town. And over in New York City, Bill de Blasio is saying, I'm laying off 22,000 city workers if the Feds don't give us a bailout. Global debt rose $258 trillion in the first quarter, or a record 331% of the world's gross domestic product. Obviously, the system has failed miserably. We've got to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Nikki, great product. Have to try it for a few months to see results. After taking Extendovite for about 6 months, I have noticed improvement on the numbness of my hands and wrists from carpal tunnel. I will continue to buy the product. Ken Peaks, 5 out of 5 stars. Works as advertised. This formula is very powerful. Be careful to follow directions. I am feeling much better. My heart rate and blood pressure has stabilized and my lower edema has reduced. Lower leg pain due to blood clots has disappeared. Thank you. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no work, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse.
Welcome back to our show. Here we're talking about the economic news. Gold ended above $2,000 an ounce for the first time in history. And according to this article over here in Investment Watch blog, the dollar's ongoing fall from grace will soon catapult precious metals to even greater heights. And there are some rather interesting forecasts out there. Treasury announces a record $112 billion quarterly debt sale, unveils a tsunami of new bond issuance after a record $2.75 trillion last quarter. Okay, U.S. government yields at 234-year all-time lows. The bond market expects a deflationary depression. Virgin Atlantic, which is 49% owned by Delta, becomes billionaire Richard Branson's second airline to file for Chapter 15 bankruptcy, as it's feared the carrier will run out of cash by next month. People don't want to travel. They don't want to do the quarantine. So the industry is ravaged by the coronavirus pandemic. Another day, another record low for the real U.S. 10-year yield, now below negative 1%. Okay. There we are. Could gold reach 7,000 by 2030? It's entirely possible. I definitely hang on to that. Spot silver surges above $28, still historically undervalued to gold. When gold pushed above its previous record price last week, silver went along for the ride, rising to nearly $26 an ounce. It has settled back and is currently trading in the $24 range. On June 29th, silver closed at just over $18 an ounce. That's a 33% gain on the month. Going back to March, the white metal was below $12. So if you invested in silver, you're doing really, really well. You're doing better than you would be investing in gold right now. All right, Bank of America is saying that silver could hit $50 an ounce in the near term. That would be quite spectacular. Okay, the Securities and Exchange Commission has launched an investigation of trading in Kodak shares before and after the $765 million loan disclosure. So there's something funny going on over there. Apparently, a lot of the top executives were given additional stock options before this was made public. So they're wondering if there was some kind of insider trading going on over there. Okay, Trump is championing the national park. He signs a $3 billion a year conservation law. That's a really good thing here. Trump signed legislation that will devote nearly $3 billion annually to conservation projects, outdoor recreation, maintenance of national parks, and other public lands. Now, this one's a little out there. Raphael Mandelman, who is a supervisor in San Francisco, is basically saying that reopening the gay sex clubs will spur San Francisco's economic recovery. Now, remember back when in '84, when the AIDS crisis was devastating the gay communities in San Francisco, they shut down the gay bathhouses and commercial adult sex venues. Well, some of the clubs reopened since then, but now this guy's saying reopen the gay bathhouses, and that'll bring the money back into San Francisco. Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about health. Everyone's talking about saturated fat being the cause of heart disease, and lately, between issues with statin and various others, they're starting to say maybe that wasn't it. Maybe the saturated fat was sort of a symptom rather than a cause. And according to this article that's coming out of Investment Watchdog, they're saying too much iron from red meat may be the real cause of heart disease. So that's kind of interesting. All right, we're going to open the phone lines now, 800-313-9443. That's 800-313-9443. Now, out at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in La Cañada, and La Cañada and Pasadena are always arguing over who has the JPL because it's such a high-profile facility. But technically, it is La Cañada. Anyway, they maintain a system called Sentry, which basically tracks asteroids that are near the Earth. And they've detected an asteroid impact. Hang on a second. Getting messages here. Anyway, the Sentry system has detected an asteroid with a potential impact risk for November 2nd. It's a 6.5-foot diameter boulder that's roughly the size of the one that came down over Russia a few years ago and broke all those windows. They're saying it's got a 1 in 240 chance of colliding with Earth on November 2nd. 1 in 240, I'm not going to get really all that nervous about it. 1 out of 5, yeah, I'll be out there with the binoculars here. Okay, scientists, for some reason, have decided right now is the time to issue a warning that a 400-foot tsunami could hit the East Coast if an asteroid hit the Atlantic Ocean. Well, they've been running those calculations for a long time. And of course, it depends on how large the asteroid is. We've seen it in movies like Armageddon and various other doomsday asteroid impact movies. Now, astronomers have discovered an exoplanet the size of Saturn orbiting a faint ultra-cool dwarf star 35 light years away after a radio telescope detects a wobble in its orbit. And talk about computers. Apparently, connected car cyber attacks have skyrocketed up 99% in the past year, which means they've almost doubled. And they're saying they were able to connect to the car via the internet, remotely control the car's heated seating, fans, air conditioning, and heated steering wheel. The problem is if the car has automated parking, they can grab that steering wheel remotely as well. And there's, I think it was Michael Hastings. There was some concern that maybe his car was taken over by cyber criminals and crashed deliberately. All right, we're going to take a phone call. Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, about flying. In my professional life, I have flown all over the world. I run out of sheets on my passport and had to have more added. And in the last few years, it's just last decade, it's gotten increasingly worse. And since this idiot, and since this coronavirus nonsense, it's just become unbearable. And I swear, I will not fly again until this stuff is completely stopped.
Yeah.
I don't need to go to Iceland again if I have to put up with the nonsense that they want you to put up with to fly anywhere. In the United States, I'll drive, period. But I will not get on another plane again for any reason until this stuff ends. They've made flying an absolutely miserable experience. And it goes back over the last decade in particular. But since in the last year in particular, and then since this since the advent of the corona apocalypse, it's just become unbearable.
Yeah. Well, it was even before that. I mean, going back to the starting of TSA and everything. I mean, Claire the other day was saying exactly the same thing. We used to love to fly, but it's just been made so unpleasant and uncomfortable with all the security stuff and, going through our pockets and confiscating our cigarette lighters and all the rest of it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I can tell you when it really started to turn sour for me was back about right after they introduced the scanners at the airports, and I'd been flying to Africa a lot, and then when you had to stand in line, and they went through every item of clothing you had in your damn in your suitcase, and then they made you sit there in front of that stupid scanner. I knew things were going to get bad. But I had no idea they'd get this bad. And I tell you, this is the worst I have ever seen it. And I just can't imagine it getting any worse, but, it probably will. Another question for you here, unrelated to this nonsense, but I just bought a Raspberry Pi 8 gig. You've mentioned the Raspberry Pi quite a bit. And I'm curious, what have you been able to do with yours, and how do you see that as being, say, a replacement for just an everyday low power laptop or desktop?
Well, it's certainly not as convenient to use as a laptop. The advantage of the Raspberry Pi is low cost, small footprint, which means you can use it as an embedded controller. But yeah, the high-end Raspberry 4s make a good low power desktop computer, and they'll support 4K displays. And the other advantage, of course, is that they're Linux computers, and there's a huge amount of software available that's open source that you can put on there. Now, at the moment, I don't have any Raspberries because that was among the stuff I had to leave behind when we moved from Ohio to Santa Claus. But I'm looking forward to getting another one really, really soon.
Well, I just bought a complete setup. Everything. That doesn't include the screen, but it includes everything else and all the other accessories other than the screen for $130.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing this thing set up in the next couple of days. And I'm thinking that this is actually a very good solution for say fixed income people who don't have a lot of money to spend on computers.
Well, if you don't mind, talking to the hardware an awful lot. I mean, the advantage to that is, everything is on that little micro SD card, which means if the unit, actually burns out, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get it repaired. Just replace the Raspberry Pi, move the SD card over, and you've got your machine back up and running.
Well, yeah, the Raspberry 4 gig will sell for $35, and the 8 gig sells for $75.
Yes.
And you're right. Yeah, it runs Linux. I've seen demonstrations of that running on Linux. Look, I've been a power user all my life here, or all my professional life. But this looks really interesting to me. I think,
fun.
I'm not sure I need to. I don't need to be on a big power machine.
No, it reminds me of what computers were like back in the days of the Apple II and the Commodore 64 when they were fun to play with.
Yeah. Do you remember a computer called Atari?
Yes.
I remember way back in the 80s that Atari was a pretty big computing system. And what I recall most about Atari was that their graphics were way ahead of what I ever
Yes.
saw on anything from the Apple that day or from IBM. And I'm curious, why was it that Atari didn't succeed? Because that really, for graphics, that was really way ahead of its time. And I'm surprised
Well, I
Atari
think
didn't.
Atari's corporate focus was more on the gaming than on the computers. And of course, once the Amiga came along, those older 8-bit graphic systems simply couldn't keep up with that.
Yeah, well, you're right. But I mean, I go back and I look at some of the graphics demonstrations I remember seeing at the computer store across from the geology department back in the 80s. And it was really super. It was great.
Yeah.
I thought, man, I'd like to have something like that, And I thought, well, that ought to do well, but it didn't. Anyway, well, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that Raspberry Pi set up here in a day or so with another screen. It's a small screen, just because I'd like to work on, say, a low power system like that on a Linux system. I got Linux. I'm loading Linux up on another laptop. I'm just trying to get off of Microsoft. Period. I don't like Microsoft, and I don't like Apple. I do not like Apple. So
Apple.
As far as I can get away from either one of those, I will.
Apple has moved more toward Linux. Microsoft is talking about it, but I think ultimately, in the long run, it's going to be a Linux world.
I hope it does. The problem, though, is that once Linux becomes more established, then of course you have the virus writers who start targeting it. But right now, I think Linux seems to be a lot less susceptible to viruses and other kinds of malware.
Well, that's for two reasons. One, there's so many different variations of it. It's not all standardized the way like a Windows environment is. And the other one, of course, is the people who use Linux tend to be a little bit more smart about how to use computers and how to protect them.
Yeah, I think so. I hope more people look into that. Anyway, about flying, Mike, I've had it. I'm not going to get another plane again until this crap is over. I'm done.
Yeah, it really is a pain.
Anyway, good talking with you.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Joe in Tennessee. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, real quick on Atari. Steve Jobs actually worked for Atari. And the guy that ran Atari, Nolan Bushnell, he was offered, I think for $150,000, he could have owned half of Apple. Steve Jobs actually took a lot of stuff from Atari along with Wozniak, and when they built that computer in their garage. I think it was the video chip and a bunch of different things that they were playing with. But Nolan Bushnell or Bushwell or something like that, he was like the father of Atari, and he was part of like the guy was saying, he didn't understand why Atari, they just went for gaming, and that was a big mistake. I mean, he'd have a lot of money. But I really wanted to call about Cuomo, the nursing home serial killer from New York.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sickening to watch him beg. Here's a so-called liberal Democrat governor begging to get these hedge fund operator oligarch billionaires to move back to his city. A city that, the lefties have totally destroyed. And it could. I'm a New Yorker. I consider myself a transplant here in Tennessee and basically an escapee. I mean, I remember when Cuomo was saying, hey, if you're pro-life, get out. Get out. And if you like guns, get out. Get out. And so we're taking him on his word. And it's interesting. He isn't coming to ask people like us, patriots and gun lovers and people against abortion back. But he sure as hell can grovel, You know, I'm
Yes.
going to cook you a meal. I'll make you a drink. If that wasn't, you know, to the rich, you know, so it's just kind of funny because, you know, the lefties and the Democrats, they always try to do this, you know, like, oh, we're against we're the Republicans are the party of the rich. And look at him grovel like a disgusting person that he is. I mean, it was really sickening to watch. And, you know, I just wish on New York what they deserve, and they're getting what they deserve. You know, they coddled all these BLM, Antifa, goons, and terrorists. So, you know, if it's up to me, I'll just sit there and toast marshmallows on New York for all I care. You know, it's just, it sickens me. And Cuomo is really a sickening face of New York and what New York is, you know, how they could elect a man like that and then, you know, to see him on TV groveling for oligarch money.
Joe, I need you to go on hold. I got to put you on hold.
Thanks.
Don't hang up. We're going to keep you through the commercial break. We'll be right back after these few words.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Are you concerned about the quality of your drinking water? If yes, we want to introduce you to the new ProPure stainless steel water purification system. ProPure systems available in 2 sizes are economical, convenient, easy to use, and provide reliable water purification just about anywhere. ProPure systems come with the latest water filter technology. The Pro Black D domed water filter elements are the result of years of research, design, and development, and are good up to 3,000 gallons each before replacement. Easy to clean, trouble-free. The Pro Black D water filter elements may be the best yet. Concerned about fluoride in your water? ProPure offers add-on fluoride filters. ProPure water purification systems. Easy to assemble and are backed with free technical support and a 2-year warranty.
Our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Redfield Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443. At 10 p.m. to enter the discussion, you book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant them anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If If you've got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers in
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Joe in Tennessee. We're talking about Cuomo. We're talking about New York. And, you know, Cuomo's got a major problem. He wants the rich people to come on back to New York so he can tax them because the poor people don't have anything left to tax. And New York, like pretty much every other city in the country, is hovering on the edge of bankruptcy. So it really is a case of the rock and the hard place.
Well, I think, you know, it's very ironic that today a New York prosecutor, Letitia James, right, announces the NRA prosecution of the NRA. You know, here they are. What's the NRA going to do? They're going to get the heck out of New York. I don't know why they've been in New York so long. I mean, that's what Trump said. He says for NRA should move to Texas. So you got the governor begging for people to stay in New York, I guess, you know, lefty oligarchs that are out in the Hamptons. And meanwhile, one of their prosecutors is out there chasing away like the NRA because of politics. So people, you know, the one thing about business people and people with money is when they see like government abusing, you know, going after different people because of their politics, they realize that's not a safe environment. It's not a safe environment to do business in when you get some radical black, probably lesbian woman, you know, Letitia James, coming after you because she doesn't like the NRA's politics. There's no doubt about that. So, you know, and in New York, they got all kinds of investigations going into Trump now also. So, you know, if you're an oligarch with billions, you're thinking to yourself, what? I got to piece these people off or they're going to come after me because they have no standards. If they don't like your politics, they want to destroy you. If you're pro-life, Cuomo wants you to get out. Get out of New York. I remember him. If you like guns,
I remember that.
Get out. You know, so that they chased out a couple gun manufacturers. Now they're going to chase out the NRA. You know, let everybody move out of New York and let them. All they have is a bunch of bums urinating all over the streets and people like Alexandria Cortez or whatever, and those people chasing Amazon out. You know, it's great. I'm actually enjoying watching the collapse in New York. And I hope all the good people get out. A couple of my new neighbors here in Tennessee are from New York. They got out. And anybody with any sense will get out of any democratically controlled city in the country. And especially when you got people like Letitia James. The worst thing in the world you can deal with these days is a black woman. They're radicalized. 98% of them voted for Hillary. What does that tell you about their ability to think for themselves? They're plantation mamas. They're the mama. They're the what do they call them? The housewoman in the slave plantation for the Democrats. A black men, at least you have a lot of them that do think for themselves. But a black woman, forget it. They're you know, and they love putting them in political positions like this, you know, because they know they're the biggest Nazis you'll find. They'll go all the way from Massa Democrat. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. And you have a good day. Thanks for hearing me out.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot here. We're going to switch over to Rick in Arizona. Hello, Rick. Welcome to the show. Actually, we're coming up back. There's the music. Rick, stay on the line. I'm going to put you on hold. We're going to take a break for station identification. We'll be right back with more phone calls.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new EaseOff Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The EaseOff lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the EaseOff? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my EaseOff?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. EaseOff LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Hour number 2. The phone lines are loaded up here, so we're going to go to Rick in Arizona. Rick, welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Well, I was going to talk about Biden here, but I just about Joe, you know, all these people that call in and complain about Birx and Fauci, and now Letitia James, Trump can fire any of these people. You know, Letitia James, you know, she didn't give you the red flag laws. In fact, I'm going to tell you, if you would have voted in Hillary, we would not be in this position. Because nobody would listen to Hillary. You'd have no red flag laws. Nobody be wearing masks. So I just got a letter from as a Trump supporter in the old days that I'd be a patriot to wear a mask from Donald Trump. You know, there's no evidence. This thing doesn't even exist. The only people that are dying are people that are dying on paper. Now, as far as Biden goes, he's throwing the match. Anything that anything that has to do with Trump is organized crime, and they love fixing matches. Trump is going to be president, and Biden's throwing the match. And just people, all the callers at the cage match I've been hearing with people fighting back and forth, you know, like Justin, where's your evidence that COVID even exists? Do you believe these people? Do you believe the stats when you see come at you from the radio station or the TV? I've not seen one tear, Mike, in the eyes of any of these people. I have seen no real grief in this pandemic. And I used to live with a nurse who was an oncology nurse. And occasionally she would be broken down in tears because somebody would die on her. She'd throw dishes. I don't see that. You know what I see? I see nurses doing music videos. You're being had by Trump, people. You don't vote. Don't vote for Biden because the more people that don't vote, that creates a vacuum. And that'll bring somebody in to fix this mess. Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Well, I disagree with that last part because if you don't vote, somebody will use your name to vote for you in a way that you probably would not approve of. And, you know, my advice going into this election is if you're registered to vote, use that registration. And maybe you don't want to vote for somebody, but you can always vote against somebody. But if you don't vote, then that becomes fodder for the vote riggers to steal the election for somebody. All right. We're going to go back to the phones. Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike. First of all, I just want to answer Miles for what all this is part of it. As far as Trump being all that, well, let's start now with what's going on in New York and Los Angeles, by the way, too. We're actually cut off somebody's water supply because they didn't like the fact that they had some house guests. And let's get to New York, what they're doing with the blockades and all that.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a president who had a pair, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I would do if I was president. I'd give them 2 ultimatums. One, we're going to cut off immediately all aid in New York and Los Angeles, maybe the whole state of California and the whole state of New York, right, immediately.
Mm-hmm.
2, we are responsible, the federal government and the states are both responsible to see that the Constitution is upheld and people are granted their civil and constitutional rights. That's what the whole thing about the Civil Rights Bill was. Black people were treated as second-class citizens illegally. It was not a states' rights issue because they didn't have their actual constitutional and civil rights. And therefore, first Eisenhower, 56, and then JFK, I believe in 62, and LBJ, as corrupt as LBJ was, this was a good thing he did, I think in 65 or 66. They sent in federal soldiers, not, not federal court officers or federal building guards or federal marshals, but actual federal soldiers, mostly the 82nd and the 101st Airborne, to make sure that these things were enforced. And if the local police backed off. And, you know, they were able to accomplish what they tried to do. What I would do if I was Trump, I would say, okay, back off right now on those blockades. These are illegal. They go against people's constitutional rights. You have no business doing this. There is nothing basically but maybe some kind of a common cold going around that they're making into something a lot more than it is. And even if it was something more serious, you got no business doing what you're doing. And I would say if you do not back off immediately, we will send in the 101st or the 82nd, and they will make sure that you back off. And if any police try to resist and continue to blockade that place, these police would be arrested. And I'd also have an arrest warrant for Cuomo for mass murder. Those thousands of people he sent that he killed in those nursing homes.
Yep.
Because all you have to do is get a bad cold into, you know, somebody with a bad cold into a nursing home like that, and you know you're going to have a lot of deaths from that, let alone if this virus really exists or not, whatever it is. Okay? So that's what a real president would do. Okay? But Trump is a punk. He doesn't do anything. He's got a big mouth, but when it comes down to acting, he doesn't act. I heard him today. I think it was Alex Jones played something on Fox News. I think in the Fox News in the morning or something, and he was saying, "Oh, you know, we got to send the kids back to school and all that." At the same time, he was praising this Goldman Sachs scum, Phil Murphy, saying, "Oh, he's really a good guy." You know, the governor of New Jersey, who's also responsible for a lot of deaths for these nursing homes and stuff. So, and another autocrat on top of it. This is Trump's problem. He continues to have a guy like Fauci and Birx, these two quacks advising him. There's numerous people he could have. He's even now telling people they should wear masks, which they shouldn't. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's also telling people he's also keeps on pushing this damn vaccine. And he's been giving money to that Moderna. This vaccine has to stop. And then he says he's going to use troops to disperse the vaccine. No, Trump, you should use these troops to bring back this country, to bring back the country that we love, okay? And to stop, and you put your foot on these autocrats' head. Stop them. Cuomo, that woman in, what's her name, Whitmer, something in Michigan. What's this clown's name in California there? Murphy
Newsom?
Newsom. Murphy in New Jersey. Wolf in Pennsylvania. You gotta put your foot down, Trump. That's what you gotta do. But you're not doing. He doesn't do it. And yet, I get something like Miles yesterday calling in. I don't care if you criticize what I have to say, but I'm going to tell you right now, Miles, this man is all mouth, all hat and no cattle. Now, am I going to vote for him? Yeah. There's no other choice unless Jesse Ventura steps in fast. And it might be too late anyway. I have no choice because I'm not going to vote for these Democrats. The Democrats are autocratic. I don't know what they call them, communists or what they should call them. But the fact of the matter is, it's really like a choice between, do you want to be shot by, let's say, a .357 Magnum at close range, where maybe you'll be lucky and it might just, go through you without hitting any vital organs, or do you want to be hit by a 12 gauge shotgun buckshot, point blank, where it's going to tear you up, where you know it's going to kill you. It's going to tear you up. It's going to destroy you, basically. Okay, it's close range.
Okay.
That's basically the case. I'll take my chances, I guess, with the .357 Magnum. But that's what it really comes down to. That's what Trump is. He is not good. He does not. I don't know whether he really means well or not. He probably does. Ill-equipped to be president. Okay, he never should have run. You don't run a presidency like a business. That's what people were thinking. Because you hire somebody does not mean they're going to be loyal to you in government. You're not building a condominium or a golf course. running the biggest, at least you're running a superpower, the premium superpower in the world, with a lot of really bad people in there, in government that don't like you, that don't like what you stand for. But yet you kept them in. He refused to prosecute Hillary, even though he promised. He said it right away. He didn't have to be, nobody had to twist his arm. He said it right away. Stand up. There was some kind of a ceremony or something. And he tells the Clintons to stand up. They're really good people. They're not good people. This guy doesn't know what he's doing, Mike. I don't know what it is about these Trumpsters that keep thinking this guy is the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's not. He's terrible. Unfortunately, we got no choice now. And that's all I got to say, Mike. I like to see what anybody says. By the way, what happened to you the last half hour yesterday? Cut off on
we had some technical issues, and
okay,
yeah. So hopefully it's not going to happen again today.
All right, Mike. I just was wondering. Okay, just want to make sure everything was all right. All right, Mike. You take it easy. Okay.
All right. Thanks an awful lot, Mark. We're going to switch over to Miles in Maine. Hello, Miles. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. You're on the air.
Okay. Well, to answer Mark, and Mark makes good points from time to time, but his last comment, why didn't Trump go arrest Hillary? I mean, have you ever seen a president walk up to someone's house and say you're under arrest in the history of this nation ever?
No, but I've seen presidents who will send out federal authorities to issue an arrest warrant.
Okay, well, that's never happened in this instance where we've had a president go arrest a political figure somewhere like that. That's the Justice Department's job to investigate and find out. President Trump could not get anything out of Sessions for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
You have these people calling in, like another absurdity. If Jesse Ventura comes in, well, I'm going to vote for him. If I check my schedule, today's August 6th. Aren't all the primaries up? I mean, Is Jesse Ventura on the ballots? I mean, is he on the ballots anywhere now? Or
no, he isn't. He's missed the filing deadline.
Yeah. It's an absolute impossibility. And this is the nonsense we're getting. And so we're going to vote for some non sequitur that's going to deliver the election to the people that are giving us all this nonsense. Because we hate Trump so much. I mean, don't hate Trump so much. Why don't you hate the Republican Party so much, or the Democratic Party for that matter, or the socialists, or the people bringing you Antifa or Black Lives Matter? Why don't you hate them? What do you got to go after the president? I mean, it's just ridiculous nonsense. And this is supposed to be the intelligent radio audience. And we have these absurdities go on. Yesterday we had this joker call in. I don't know what else I could call him. He tried to claim that Ghislaine Maxwell set up a Melania with Donald Trump. Can you hear me, Michael?
Yeah, I can hear you. He didn't say set her up. He said introduced her.
Yeah, well, he was wrong. And see what I mean? These people perpetuate this stuff. He also said President Trump was going to send out the military to vaccinate people. That's not what Trump said. He said he would have, if he had to, he would have the military distribute it to nursing homes and places for people. Okay? And you get all this absurdity. Oh my God, he said something about Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay, well, maybe he said, good luck to her, that she'll stay safe and come to trial and not be killed like Epstein. And you have these people making these broad-based, absolute, idiotic assumptions in anything just to say something negative about Trump is all it sounds like. And I'm not saying Trump's perfect, but my God, there's nobody that could do as well as he's doing, period. I really honestly believe that. Anybody else, they would have drummed out of here. They would have drummed right out of here. And nobody would have the will, the stamina, the power, or the endurance to put up with all this nonsense. Yeah, he makes some mistakes. And I hear this other crazy stuff. I heard Mark say before something about Trump's benefiting from the pharmaceuticals. Trump's the one that told them about hydroxychloroquine. I mean, come on, people, wake up. Give me a break here. I mean, you don't have to love Trump, but my God, don't be absolutely ignorant to what's going on here. This stuff is pure fablery, pure hoax media, the stuff that they bring up. Oh, Trump was on the plane with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, guess what? So's the pilot. I mean, what is this? This is just absolute, nonsense. It's what it's trying to be is they're trying to, incriminate him by, mere association and whatever goes on in society with Trump or whatever he says. They take it very loosely and try and apply it to him. I'm trying to think of this other one I heard about Trump that they mentioned. But it's the same story. They take these things and extrapolate them out to the nth degree and hoping they can find something. But the guy from Maryland was just ridiculous. I mean, it was just so ridiculous and there was just no any kind of evidence there, yet he was ready to bash Trump on these different things. Trump's going to bring out the military and this kind of stuff. They take something Trump says, and that's exactly what the Democrats do. That's what Paul from New Jersey does. Dustin does that a lot. They'll say that someone said this, and then they'll go into what they would like you to think that person said, but it's not what they said.
Yeah.
And so, Trump has a hard enough time with the Democratic Party, his own party, the media, the world, the planet. And, sure enough, when Trump does something wrong, I'm going to say he did something wrong, and he's done a lot of things wrong, but I don't think anybody could do it right now. I don't think there's anyone who could do any better than Trump. You had what Mark yesterday say, Tulsi Gabbard, and then as far as this NRA stuff goes, I could care less about the NRA if they never existed. I mean, really, the organization that gave you the Brady Bill, the Instant Check, the ammo ban, Project Exile, Project Safe Streets, the magazine ban, the Gun Control Act of 68, the National Firearms Act of 38, disarmed the U.S. military veterans, and I'm supposed to worry. As far as I'm concerned, anybody that's in that group is no more than an Elmer Fudd hunter. If you're in that group, you're not a Second Amendment advocate. You're no more than Elmer Fudd. Okay, but the only real pro-gun group is Gun Owners of America.
Yes.
And people's hero, if they don't believe it, just ask their hero that they'd like to elect, but we can't elect them. We can't get elected. Not that I don't love the guy, but Ron Paul. Ron Paul says in a statement right on GOA, the only no-compromise gun lobby from Ron Paul. But this Trump bashing is Trump. And then why don't he fire Fauci? Well,
yes.
There's something called posturing, and Trump has the posturing. What if he say he did fire Fauci in this outfit, and then the second wave does come back? Well, then what's he do? Oh, Trump says wears a mask now. Well, okay.
I think the issue here is that, Trump as president does have certain authorities and certain powers. And to go on back to Jeff Sessions, where for like 3 years, Sessions did absolutely nothing. At the end of year one, he should have been fired. Trump should have just started firing people left and right and said, either you do the job I want you to do or seek other employment. And I think that was his biggest single failing.
I'll go a step further. He shouldn't have even gave him year one. He shouldn't have gave him day one. He should have just came right in and wiped him out.
I agree.
Michael, there is such a thing as timing. And is now the timing before the election to fire everybody, to go take over 50 states, 25 states, because about half of these states are against Trump. They're blue states. Is now the time to go there and send the military in just before the elections when they're already saying he's taken over the post office now?
He missed his window of opportunity. He had a window of opportunity to fix the election system, and he missed that. He had a window of opportunity to get vaccinations under control, and he missed that as well. He made a lot of promises during the campaign in 2016 that simply have not come to pass. And I'm not willing to make excuses for the guy who claims to be the most powerful man on earth.
I don't really follow any man who thinks they're the most powerful man on earth, because I know this in myself, that every man is fallible. You know what I mean? Because they're just men. So, but Do you believe, Mike, that timing is essential in some things? And now is not the time. Now you don't go into 20 states and say, guess what? We don't like what you're doing. You know, there is a such thing as 10th Amendment rights. And these governors.
No, I agree with you on that. And I agree that Trump missed his window of opportunity to get a lot of this stuff fixed. You know, he had an opportunity to guarantee the honesty of the elections. Now is not the time. He missed his window of opportunity. Anyway, listen, Miles, got to let you go. We got other callers waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
Is the Second Amendment your line in the sand? Is the United States Constitution important to you? Are you worried about gun confiscation? You need to join us for free at gunconfiscation.com. At gunconfiscation.com, you will meet like-minded patriots, get the latest Second Amendment news, and find anything you need to prepare for gun confiscation. Visit gunconfiscation.com today. That's gunconfiscation.com. Which side are you on?
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show. Here we're going to go back to the phones to Joseph in Hawaii. Aloha, brah. What's up?
Aloha, brah. Good talking to you, Michael. I just wanted to throw in a comment about what was recently talked about regarding why Trump didn't go after Hillary and all that. I think it's for the same reason that you don't find a lot of people exposing people in politics, D.C., wherever, even local governments. It's because in many cases, everybody's got dirt. And everybody knows someone else's dirt. I tell you, it would have been an outright bloodbath. Had he done that, the Clintons, with their capabilities, would have gone after him and his empire and would have brought that down. And he's protecting his own. If, in my mind, that's what's going on. So he backed off knowing, who knows, maybe they hinted or something, whatever, but I'm sure they would have pulled all kinds of skeletons out that we aren't even aware of, and guaranteed he's got them just like they do.
Yeah.
And I think knowing that there's life after his stint in Washington, he didn't want to have to face that reality of really, being in that situation. So he's, again, protecting his own, whatever that all involves. And I suspect that's what's going on. I don't know why everybody, maybe he flapped his wings really hard about it to get elected. But when reality set in, he knows better. So that's just my comment. I wanted to leave it there.
Well, I kind of disagree. At this point, this getting along by going along is how nations are destroyed. And I remember it wasn't all that long ago when the president of Colombia was literally put on trial for dealing with the drug dealers, and he unfortunately was found not guilty for whatever reason. If you look at how the mafia took over Sicily, about 10, 20 years ago, it can get really, really bad. And what we, the American people, are demanding of those we put into power is that they put the interests of the nation and the people ahead of their own. And we're not getting that, unfortunately.
Oh, I totally agree. No, I totally agree. In fact, when Biden, whoever he's going to pick as his VP, I certainly hope that person doesn't have, is rather quote unquote clean, to some extent. I'm sure that's part of the vetting process, because it's just so pathetic that that this situation happens. So no, I'm in your camp on that. It's just unfortunate that people are basically, who are in these positions, a lot of times to get there, they've done things that that we don't know about. It might involve, all kinds of campaign issues, whatever. And so they have payback, they have to protect, all that stuff takes place. And we as the populace, we are the victims of that in so many words. So that's just, again, it's an unfortunate reality. But I agree.
Can you imagine how much better our nation would be if all of that dirt were made public all at the same time? The Clinton Foundation, Trump's being down on Epstein's Island. If all of that stuff were made public at once, then these politicians could no longer be blackmailed. The blackmailers would have to basically slink off into some dark corner and cry over their lost power and influence. But we can't run a nation where the entire government is, one giant network of mutual blackmail, because that country will not be run for the benefit of the American people.
Well, exactly. And so here's where we are now. It's so unfortunate, among other things. So just wanted to put it out there. But Michael, love your show as always. So appreciate it. And you and Claire, take care.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good day to you, Michael. And by the way, another great call by Miles. And I basically agree with everything Miles said. He hits it out of the park, man, because Miles is on the money. But, these guys calling in, that guy Mark yesterday used my name 8 times. He must love my name, Tom. He used it 8 times. Tom. Well, you know what? I want to let Mark know something. I want to let all your other callers are bashing Trump, okay? When Fauci was doing this corona, when this thing came out, he was saying there's no problem with the coronavirus and we should be fine. Wasn't the United States probably the first and fastest country to lock down for the coronavirus, Mike? Didn't Trump do something there? All these guys are calling about Trump. Nobody's talking about George Bush with the skull and bones criminal he was, and Sortero Hussein Obama Davis. Okay,
yeah, but they're not running for president right now.
Okay, well, Mike, I understand that, but Donald Trump is, and Donald Trump, okay, looks like he's leading in the polls. You and me are voting for him. A lot of your callers are in blue states. They're not going to vote for him. You're not going to vote, period. That's why their states are blue, okay? That's why you have blue states. Now, the guy, Mark, I guess he's an implant from New York to Carolina, and that's fine. That's wonderful. And he has conservative viewpoints. That's wonderful. But to be bashing Trump, who do you want, Mark? Biden? You want Joe Biden, Mark? Is that who you want? I mean, it's unbelievable, the things I'm hearing out of these guys. Donald Trump's he's brought out to the forefront immigration, how they're taking our jobs. Yeah, he's maybe should be stricter like Eisenhower. I totally agree with that. I mean, yeah, Trump should be throwing down the hammer on immigration. No way, you're not always coming in here. affirmative action, affirmative action, Mike. These blacks get better jobs, like I told you the other day, than the white people ever dream of getting. Okay? They keep hammering about whiting this, whiting that.
Tom, I got to put you on hold. Got to put you on hold.
Okay.
Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after this commercial break.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
Welcome back to our show. Here we're talking with Tom in Florida. And Tom, if you could just sort of pick up where you left off.
Yeah, Michael, let's get back to what I want to also to say. Joe Biden was a vice president under Barry Soetoro Hussein Obama. Okay? What did Obama say? That you need a magic wand because manufacturing is never going to come back to this country? Well, Donald Trump's brought manufacturing back. Donald Trump's also, okay, with the Chinese, he stopped the Chinese from coming in here when the Democrats are going nuts, calling them a racist. Okay? What about the Ford company making ventilators with the Powers Act that Trump imposed, saying, hey, we're going to start having our manufacturing making our ventilators here? You think Joe Biden would have done that? Or Barry Soetoro Hussein Obama? No. They were licking China's boots. Okay? let's talk about Fauci. You got Fauci talking about, there's no need for masks. There's no need. And Trump finally realized this guy's a creep. Fauci's a freaking fool is what it is, Mike. He's a fool.
Yep.
And also, let's talk about he's a fool. And let's look at warp speed ahead. Warp speed ahead, Mark. Warp speed ahead with a vaccine, maybe, for the coronavirus that no other president probably could ever do. Because remember, Michael, Donald Trump's a businessman. He is a businessman. He's not a politician. The guy came in office as a businessman. He basically did everything he said he was going to do. No, he hasn't done anything about the voting, which I agree with you 100%, Michael. He should have stopped. He should have started arresting these people. I told you a year ago in sanctuary cities, and the mayors, the governors, all should have been arrested. And like you say, Mike, Title 8. I don't know if because Trump's hands are so tied up, he can't. But look at Bill Slick Willie Clinton. Look at the Bushes with skull and bones. Look at Barry Davis or Hussein Obama. And you got that bumbling Biden whose son is a criminal who should be in jail, has 3 kids with 3 different women. He stole millions of dollars out of China, Mark, okay, and Russia and Ukraine. And this guy bumbling Biden's going to let his son off as soon as he becomes a president. Who the kid should be locked up and put in jail for 20 years, kicked out of the Navy because he was doing cocaine, Mark?
Tom?
Come on.
Okay. Yeah, Mark is actually waiting on the line. He wants to talk to you if that's okay with you.
That's fine as long as it's copacetic and he don't he's gonna be copacetic and not if he's attacking me, I'm gonna attack right back. So exactly.
Well, we're not gonna get into attacking each other here. We're gonna be we all agree we're gonna be polite and respectful, okay, and not interrupt each other. Okay, Mark, are you on the line? Mark, are you there?
Well, hey, how you doing? Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine, and so can Tom.
Okay, good. All right, Tom. Let's start off with, first of all, I said, unfortunately, I've got no other choice but to vote for Trump, okay? I'm not going to vote for Biden. I don't want a Democrat in there, and I certainly don't want the Biden in there, okay? Tulsi Gabbard, yeah, but, you know what they did to her. But when it comes to praising Trump, thinking the man is any good, that's ridiculous. Look at what he's done since he's been in there. He bombed Syria for no reason, 2 years in a row of a false flag chemical attack. He still keeps getting us in the Middle East. He promises one day he'll get us out of Syria, and then he lets Netanyahu talk him out of it. Netanyahu and probably his son-in-law and Pompeo. He puts Bolton in there as his national security advisor. He stabs Flynn in the back. He basically threw him under the bus and let him not only get fired, but then indict him. Okay? Look what he's done with this coronavirus. He's let this thing go. First of all, he should never have locked down the country in the first place. He never should have let a clown like Fauci run things. He should now immediately fire Fauci and put some kind of a decent doctor in there, like maybe a Rashid Buttar in there or somebody like that, or Dr. Shiva, and let them run things. Okay? But he doesn't do any of that. Now he lets himself be, then he praises, he praised Cuomo already. He praises his bum in New Jersey, Phil Murphy. The guy is incompetent, Tom, okay? He doesn't know what he's doing. That's the problem being a businessman. He thinks he's building a condominium or something like that. He's running a superpower. But your problem, Tom, is you keep on thinking this man is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You and Miles here in Maine. He's not. The man is incompetent. He's all hat, no cattle. Unfortunately, this country is now stuck having it between this idiot and the even bigger idiot that the Democrats are putting up. So I'm forced to vote for this idiot. It doesn't look like Ventura's going to get into it or anything else. But that's the problem, Tom, all right? It's not then I'm going to vote for Biden. Of course I'm not going to vote for Biden. No way. But I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted that the greatest country in the world, at least used to be the greatest country in the world, is now stuck between two incompetents. And by the way, I am a transplant. I've also lived in Texas, okay? Believe me, I don't have any kind of a New York attitude, okay? I think the place is a dump. And you're not from Florida either originally. So, let's get it. And by the way, where you live might as well be a blue state, that part of Florida. So let's get that through your head too. All right. I don't know. You want to answer that, Tom, or what?
Yeah, Mark, you have your opinions. Everybody has opinions. Opinions are like, what? Everybody has one. But here's what I got to say to you. Okay. Okay, Mark? Yeah, you got your opinion. You know what? I fight for your right to say what you got to say. That's why you got freedom of speech, and it's fantastic we have that.
Absolutely. You do
It's a
too.
great thing. But you know what? First off, let's get back to Tulsi Gabbard. First off, I did like some things, Tulsi, and I agree with you on some things, Mark. Tulsi Gabbard tried to sue Hillary Clinton, which was wonderful. She called out Kamala Harris, who might be the VP for Biden. So, yeah, I think Tulsi did some wonderful things as far as exposing some of the little issues with the Demon Rat Party. But here you go again, talking about where I'm from, okay? Look,
well, you mentioned me.
You American. I'm American first, and you should be
one at
American.
a time.
And you
One at
should
a
be talking
time.
about the president of the United States the way you are, because you have anger issues about President Trump. Well, you know, Mark, he is the president of the United States, whether you like it or not. I respect the office of the president. Even when I had a deal with Obama, I respected him for being the president. Even I couldn't agree with hardly anything this buffoon did, but I had to agree. Now we got Biden running for president against Donald Trump, Mark, and you know what the outcome. Like Michael said, you got to vote for the lesser of two evils. Correct, Mark? You agree with that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but the thing is this: I don't have to respect anybody. Okay, just because he's the president.
You know what? You can do like this.
One at a time, Tom.
Right?
Tom, let Mark talk. Let Mark talk. You had your turn. Let Mark finish.
The man is not a king. He puts his pants on the same way I do. He goes to the toilet the same way I do. Okay? We don't have kings in this country, okay? He's the president. He's a politician. I have every right, as you do, to disrespect him or respect him. And again, I tell you one more time, I plan on voting for him, unfortunately, because there's no other choice. Not because I like him. There's no other choice, though.
Okay, cool. I agree with you, Mark. We agree on that. We both totally agree on that. But let me ask you something, Mark. If Donald Trump's two sons, Eric and Don, were to do what Hunter Biden has done to this, with all the criminality he's done, what do you think what would you think? Look, they tried to impeach Donald Trump, and that didn't work. Okay? And they tried the Russia hoax, and that didn't work, Mark. Now, they can't really go after his son or his daughter. I guess they didn't got nothing on it. They're trying like heck. But Joe Biden's son has been proven to be a thief. He's proven to have. What's that?
I agree, but why doesn't Trump have him arrested? Okay, why did he have the Justice Department run the way he did? Why didn't he clean it out from the time he took over? One thing you got to say about Obama, he cleaned out he had the Justice Department he needed and wanted. Okay, Trump had these clowns in there from the get-go.
Mark, do you remember what Richard Nixon was saying? Do you remember when Richard Nixon was famous for saying? He had a quote that he was famous for saying. He said, "Where did all these schmucks come from? Where did all the schmucks come from?" That's on tape. Richard Nixon.
Okay.
I'm not surprised you say that, but I understand what he's saying. But at the same time, Trump should have known what he's dealing with. He said he drained the swamp. You don't restock the swamp. You don't put people like
a lot of times Donald Trump
one at a time. One at a time.
The powers that be, Mike.
Mark, go ahead.
Why? I agree. Yeah. I agree with Mark. Why are we giving all this foreign aid to all these foreign countries? We should be taking care of our own country. Why are we giving out billions and billions of dollars to Israel, the Middle East? Why? Why are we having foreign wars? We don't need these foreign wars. No, we don't need these foreign wars. We take care of America first, last, and always. We got a war right now in our cities. We got a war with these people invading our state of California and all these other states. 8 million illegals in one state, Mike. And that's been going on for 40 years. The Kennedys. Ted Kennedy. He should have been arrested. And the other schmucks that the invasion of our state. The governor from there.
Exactly. I agree. I mean, what? But why couldn't Trump have done something about it? That's the problem. Why does he keep? Why does he? Why are we supporting Israel? Why are we sending $3 billion over to Israel every year? There's no reason for it. Why do we have
Mark? Tom, Mark, just hang on.
Joe Biden.
Hey, Tom, one more thing, and then we're going to let you go because we got other callers waiting on the line, and this conversation seems to have wandered off its original point.
Okay, well, I thank you for give me one more question, Mike. Listen, Joe Biden is on the news today saying that if he gets to become president, he will not build one more foot of wall. on the southern border. Joe Biden is saying all these other nonsensical things that he'll do as president, and people would vote for that. People, this guy's he's going to undo illegal aliens not getting medical help and all that. They should be getting stimulus checks like American citizens. That's what Joe Biden wants. They get better medical care than an American citizen, an illegal alien in a lot of cases. No, this guy Biden's a bumbling buffoon, Mark, and you know it, and we all know it. That's all he basically got.
Well, Mark already said he's not voting for Biden, and I'm not voting for Biden. I think we're all in agreement here, and I'm wondering why we're arguing about it. We all agree Biden cannot be president of the United States.
That's a good question. And you know what? I think that Mark is right about one thing. Donald Trump has got to really show something in the next 2 months, like me and you agree, Michael, for months now, that Trump's got to start arresting these mayors for what the complacency they're doing. The mayors and the governors of these blue states need to be arrested for their demonic evil that they're perpetrating on the United States. That's all I got to basically say today.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot.
Agree with it.
And we're going to let Tom and Mark go here because we're getting close to the end of the show here. We're going to switch over to Sebastian in Sweden. Hello, Sebastian. Thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike.
Hi.
I'm just thinking, the EU, they've been paying, according to Identity and Democracy as an organization within in Brussels, the union has paid out 36 million euros to a number of groups linked to the Muslim Brotherhood. And, you know, the group's agenda includes Islamization of Europe.
Yes.
And, you know, that's where partially our money is going, you know, when we have to pay all this money to the European Union. Another thing I want to say is that yesterday we had 3 shootings in Sweden. And Tuesday night, there were 52,000 rounds of 19mm that was stolen from a truck that was parked with a it's not like a truck like enclosed truck that's locked. It's what do you call it, like a half a truck with sort of like a tarpaulin, like a coupe on top. I don't know what you call them in English. I forgot the word for it now. But it was all they did.
Dump trucks.
Yeah, all they did was cut into the canvas, and they just stole all the 9mm, but left everything else, the hunting rounds and the shotgun shells, only the 9mm. But that can be used in 2 automatic weapons that the police have already confiscated among many criminals in Sweden. It's the Uzi and the Heckler & Koch MP5.
Yes.
And, you know, they get the 9mm goes in the Glock and the Sig Sauer. And I think the Swedish police had the Sig Sauer. I'm not sure. But anyway, and then another thing I heard that you can make your own natural hydrochloroquine. It's just by making quinine using lemon peels and grapefruit peels. You boil them under low heat for 2 hours. You leave the top on, and then you don't let anything evaporate, and you let it cool with the top on. And then taking a few spoonfuls of that should, with, of course, zinc. But I'm not sure. I read it somewhere, and I said, it'd be nice if that woman doctor that comes on, that calls into your program, what's her name, Kelly? Or
yes.
You know, if someone like that would, confirm this. This was sent to me from a friend that I have in Brazil, and it was a link from Rents, I think it was. So you can find it on Rents. People are interested, and that's all I had to say, Mike. It's I'm glad to hear Joe again on the air, you know, and I like Tom and Mark and all the other guys, you know. But so you take care.
All right, thanks an awful lot here, and we're going to switch over to James in Vancouver. Hello, James. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, I was wondering, with regard to that explosion of the ammonium nitrate, was that installation, did it have any Chinese investment or Russian investment in it?
Well, supposedly the cargo, the ammonium nitrate cargo itself had been owned by a Russian businessman and had been confiscated from him and just stored there for 6 years. And apparently there'd been numerous numerous complaints and warnings saying we can't have this explosive sitting here. It's a disaster waiting to happen. And sure enough, it was.
The whole port has been ruined, I understand. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It blew a 400-foot crater in the dock area. And yeah, it's pretty much wrecked the port. They're going to have to build that all back up again.
Okay, well, anyway, I just it's crossed my mind that China might have been involved, but I don't know any. I don't have any information on that. I was curious about that.
I don't think anybody was involved in the military sense here. I think it was just a stupid industrial accident. They do happen from time to time.
Well, I saw the video. There were about 3 explosions. First was in one part of the building. Then it moved closer to the left, whatever. And then the big one was the third one. I assume that there was some kind of beginning and ending. Like it didn't happen all at once. There was a
well,
minor
remember
explosion.
the original story was that there was a fire in a fireworks storage area, and as a matter of fact, if you look at the video very carefully before the big blast, down on the ground, you can see what appears to be fireworks going off.
A yellowish color. Was that what I was looking at?
They're all different colors: blue, white, yellow, red.
Yeah, but the big blast took the whole building out.
Oh yeah.
And then came that shock wave. There was a terrific shock wave right after. People in cars kilometers away got their cars trashed. I don't know if you saw that
Yeah,
video.
I saw that. Houses got trashed. I mean, it was a big explosion. It was basically about they're estimating 1/5 the power of the Hiroshima bomb.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Well, okay. That was my question, and all the best. Have a good day.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Dave in Maryland. Hello, Dave. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Ding, ding, ding. Ding, ding, ding. Round 2, Mike. It's so sad listening to Mark and Tom, how they it's like it's the epitome of the false left-right paradigm. I mean, it's their whole back and forth. I mean, that's exactly what these elites in Congress and the presidents of it, that's exactly what they want. They want everybody fighting. Oh, well, it's Trump, it's Biden. I'm telling you, there's people, it's disgusting. I mean, literally their whole conversation, it's the epitome of the false dichotomy. Because at the end of the day, like I said the other day, the first thing Donald Trump did was say, Hillary Clinton, take a bow for your great performance. And then he said he never intended to lock her up. It was just a talking point cooked up by Kushner. So I just feel like I wanted to say that. I mean, just to get that out there because they're back and forth. It's all fake. It's nonsense. And then to Tom's point about Biden won't build a wall, Trump didn't build any wall. He repaired a couple miles of fence. And then the other day with Hurricane Isaiah, his fence blew over. It was a joke. So anyway, Mike, and then just one more last thing before I know we're probably coming to a break. Did you see that the footage? It was inverted from the strike in Beirut. People that had filmed it, they inverted the camera footage, and you can clearly see it's like a missile strike. I'm not saying if it was real or not. I just don't know if you have seen that yet.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's a fake. There's no legitimate reason to turn it into a negative.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Why there was a legitimate reason, but I mean, it looked. I mean, I don't know because it just. I mean, if they're really saying that it was just negligence, like so the Lebanese government's like pulling cover because Israel had marked that spot. Like Benjamin Netanyahu, when he went to Congress, wherever, he held up the little map and showed that it was like a targeted area. So, I mean, you're not going to tell me that was just some negligence. I'm not like. There's no way anybody with any critical thinking skills can see through that. So. But I don't know. That's just my 2 takes. Like I said, but go ahead.
Thank you for the insult, and but I do think it was an industrial accident, and I think all these.
Yeah,
and like I said, I have seen several different videos purporting to show a bomb or a missile hitting that facility, and they're all coming from different directions. Which means if they were all true, then this was a mass attack. Coming from about 20, 30 different directions. So that's,
Yeah, and then there was also did you know that Rothschild's bank is right next to it, and then
Not
they're going to
anymore.
give out like interest-free loans. I don't know. I don't know if it got destroyed, but I know that it was right next to it, and then supposedly
Yeah.
they're going to give out like interest-free loans now to rebuild the area.
Well,
You know?
that's
so
nice
maybe
of
in
them
like
to
50
do.
years it'll be like, huh?
I said that's nice of them to have interest-free loans.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's so nice of the Rothschilds to help them out after all this, right? Yeah, but I guess maybe in like 50 years it'll be like a state-of-the-art seaport. You know, that's if we're still around in 50 years. Because I also, like you mentioned, that that next comet's coming, or the asteroid. 300 miles to the Earth is pretty close, Mike.
Yep. Well, we'll see what
'cause
happens.
it was
But like I
comet.
said, 1 in 240 chance. I'm not going to get excited about that, you know. But
I
you
know
know,
first
one.
was Comet Atlas,
Yeah.
then Neowise. Now what's this one? Did they name it yet?
No, it's just a rock 6 miles long, about the size of Mount Everest.
Well, hopefully, if it hits all, if it does, because we'll know if it's
I'm
going to
sorry,
hit
I
or not, right?
misspoke. They're
Hopefully.
saying it's 6.5 feet, not 6.5 miles. That was my mistake.
Oh, okay.
Well, if
Now-
it comes down,
like I
it's
was
going to
saying,
be about. It'll be about as bad as that one that came down over Russia a couple of years ago.
Oh man, see, I was going to say, I was hoping that it was going to be a big one because I'm going to drive to the eastern shore and stand on the beach as it impacts and just let the tsunami take over me. That's what I'm hoping for, Mike.
Well, I'm not
hoping
hoping
it
for
crashes
that.
right off the coast.
I'm not going to hope
I'm
for
going to
that.
drive right down there and go to the beach.
Anyway,
I'm going right
Dave,
to the
we're going to
beach,
let you
and I'm
go.
going to stand there like that movie Deep Impact.
Yes. So, Dave,
all right, Mike.
yeah, we got to go here, and we
All
got
right,
to take another phone call.
I appreciate it. Like I said,
Bye,
like Tom
Dave.
and Mark,
Bye, Dave. Bye, Dave. We're going to go to Miles in Maine. Miles apparently had you wanted to respond to one of the other callers.
Yeah, you know, I'm glad to hear Dave called in because that's what I was referring to when I called him my first time about how he said how Ghislaine Maxwell introduced Trump to Melania, and he was the guy that made that. Then he just come up with another one about Trump told Hillary take a bow. It wasn't in reference to about her being locked up. It was in reference to what Trump was talking about. Was about Trump said, well, thanks for your service to the country. Take a bow. And this is what this Dave does. Dave, now, like the one caller told you a couple days back, Dave's a troll. Dan's a troll.
Yep.
You got a couple of them trolling the show, Michael. You know?
Yeah, I know.
And I know you're smart
Well,
enough.
it's either that or they
I don't
have to work
tell
at a
you.
fast food restaurant.
Yeah, I guess the stimulus is running out. But anyway, to answer Mark, no, Mark, you're wrong again. I don't think Trump's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I think he's better than Ronald Reagan was. When Trump's wrong, I'll more than admittingly say Trump's wrong. But I don't think you understand political posturing and the timing and the things that go on. And yes, Trump says these things, and Trump has to sometimes walk back these things. But it's all part of the political process if you follow politics. Trump does do these things, and Trump makes some gaffes. What about the one where he tweeted coffee or whatever? And people make a big deal out of this stuff, and it's really nothing. It's a non sequitur compared to all this stuff going on. To me right now, what disturbs me most that's going on right now is that Three Gorges deal.
Yeah, we're still watching that one. We're watching that one. Anyway, Miles, I hate to do this to you, but the music is starting, and we're at the end of the show.
That's
so
okay.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Anyway, stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of RBN. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.